nerds, welcome back to another video game analysis. Today we're going to talk about console personalities. If you never heard of that, that's something I call it. It really has to do with how different consoles give you different possibilities, how different consoles represent different types of people and different types of games, and how like everything just comes together, gives you preferences, gives you ideas, and gives you different elements of gameplay. Oh yeah, I call it console personality because I truly think every console's own personality. Because you gotta think, like, every console starts with one guy or two or a team, whatever, and they have a big project, and you have some great programmers behind it, and they all have their own ideas, their own feelings, their own desires. Everything in the world has like its own desire, has its own will and personality, and everyone in the world can put it into. And every human being had, since the invention of the wheel, was able to put that personality in a machine, and it's like cogs are turning. So yeah, pretty cool. We're gonna talk about some consoles. More specifically, we're going to talk about some of the famous ones. I'm going to stick to ones we all know very well. Maybe some younger viewers don't. Just 4 of them. Nothing big. I got a 15-minute time limit, so blame YouTube for that. Oh yeah. Let's go. Sega. Let's start with that. I love Sega, I really do. Their consoles were always top notch, and like I said in the first episode, they were very worthy competitors to Nintendo, as is the newer PlayStation, Xbox. This was pretty much the Xbox, PlayStation of the day. You know, it's the competition for Nintendo, and very worthy, I must say. Like, we got a great competition going on now. I think I love all 3 of the consoles. I am a Nintendo person. That's what we're getting into. Like, why am I a Nintendo person? Why can't you be a PlayStation person or an Xbox person? Or if you're a retro gamer, why are you a Sega person, you know? Unfortunately, yeah, Sega doesn't make consoles anymore. Anyway, let's talk about this. Pretty nifty stuff. The reset buttons. Nice and there and blatantly obvious to see. You got here's a little volume switch for the headphones. Can you imagine? And the power switch. I like this power switch. That little click at the end, a little fun fact, that little click at the end of the theme song for the opening title of this, that's this. I wanted it to sound like you were turning on a console, like, you know, big fancy artist stuff. And anyway, the Sega, this is my favorite Sega, the Sega Genesis. It was the first non-Nintendo system I owned, and it was a very great experience. Sega was a big mover. It started Sonic the Hedgehog. That's what everyone remembers. Mainly, they had a lot of sci-fi and fantasy games, a lot of beat-em-ups, and that was their thing. You know, that was cool. And of course, they have third-party games. I'm not including third-party games with these personalities. I'm strictly sticking to what they had on their own, because third-party games are great to support. I highly recommend if you get third-party games. Of course, first-party games are the experience of the console. That's what console personality is all about. But I really do want to stress that you should give support to people like Capcom and Rockstar and all those third-party games who don't make consoles. And Sega is now a third-party, unfortunate company too. There's rumors of a Dreamcast too, but it's not going to happen. Sadness. I'm not going to waste your time. The Sony Playstation. Yes, the Sony Playstation. Yeah, actually. The Sony Playstation was actually made because Sony had a deal with Nintendo to create a Nintendo 64 disc add-on. But as the Sega CD proved, it wasn't worth it. It was made, there was a few games for it, but it wasn't a success. Consoles make mistakes, everyone does. But Sony ended up getting inspiration to make the PlayStation. It was a PlayStation 1, clearly. And yeah. It was the first CD, the pure CD thing to be the first one, just the first. Like the first console made, it was the first to be the PC, the CD. That was successful. Because there was plenty of CDs before that were failures. Complete failures. 3D. Philip CD. Anyway. Yeah, you got this stuff. There's some great games on this. 32-bit rendered. PlayStation started out doing what they had to do, attract people with cool, popular games at the time. You know, sports games, platformers. They really went a wide array to get attract to this, and it was worth it because today PlayStation's a powerhouse in the gaming market. And the PS3 is an impressive system, and it's really nice. It really started things. It had a CD player on it. That was interesting to me. I remember thinking that it's like, wow, you know, another thing. I mean, I have a CD player, but it's convenient having this. I mean, sometimes I do. I actually play CDs on this. Oh, I play music, and the PlayStation's fun. My collection's not that big on this. I just got this. The best game I have for it's Spyro, but I can't get it to work. CDs weren't that great in the beginning. They were still a new thing, a new technology, and they were well worth it. I am going to expand on that later on. But for now, just know that CDs weren't that great. Loading times are terrible. If you scratch it, it's going to be really difficult to fix. You know, all that stuff. But when you get past it, it's a good system. And they perfected it by the PS2, GameCube, and Xbox era. And I guess you can call it Dreamcast too, but like we mentioned before. And go well. Sadness. But let's get happy, because PlayStation's on PS3. I saw the PS4. I don't know if it's true what that's actually going to look like. It's like a glass thing. It looks amazing. Like wow. PlayStation is not my thing. I'm going to say that. I have the PS1 because I like to explore, and I just got into retro gaming, but it's not my thing. I do like it though. I'll play with my friends and I have a good time, but console personalities match the gamer. The gamer likes what the gamer likes. It's a good thing. Yeah. People match what they like, you know. They can connect with the people who put their heart and soul into these things. Wow. Awkward talking. Awkward. This is great. Atari was an overambitious company at the end. The 5200 was a big commercial failure because their controller was not tested well. A lot of things in that time weren't tested well, and it really hurt. Sad. But the Atari died with... Atari stopped making consoles again like the Sega because of poor marketing, or just, in their case, honestly, it was a commercial failure. They had the Jaguar. Do the math. 64 bits. That's more than 32 and 16. Like, yeah, but they look like 16-bit. You see, the problem was when they made the Atari Jaguar, they had a 32-bit game called the Panther, a 30-bit console called the Panther coming out. But they said, you know what, forget it. Let's make a 64-bit. But instead of making a new processor, to get it in time, they added more stuff onto it to make it process like a 64-bit processor. But it was just confusing. It was easy to cross and die out. So console gamer designers were too afraid to try its capabilities. A lot of the games are just terrible looking. 32-bit and 16-bit games look better than this. Look, the Jaguar, not this. Atari's great. It's a 4-bit system, very classic. A lot of famous arcade games are on here. I talked about the controllers before, and gave you great possibilities. This started it all, man. Second gen. First gen was a bunch of board games on the TV with a couple of blinking dots, but this started it all. Started the movement. Fight to power. Rah, boom. Punch in the face. I bet you felt that. It's great. This thing. Oh my god. Nintendo. This is my thing. This is where I feel at home. Wherever you feel at home is good. That's you. You match the personality of a console. And what's great about it is it travels through on. Nintendo was big on its platformers and started the side-scroller action, which evolved into new 3D games into the future and beyond. Nintendo has its most famous franchises and ended the game crash in '83 and inspired so much. It's great. It's great. It just needs no words. It's so self-explanatory. But yeah, the Nintendo was always big on innovation. Even in the beginning, you had to end the crash at '83, you had to prove that games weren't boring and overdone and completely saturated with terribleness anymore. Nintendo had to prove that they were up for the challenge, and they did it. Things got big. 8-bit was up. The new generation was here. But yeah, things are going great with video games today. I'm excited to play Nintendo with HD graphics. I never thought it was that important. Graphics, so I'll expand on that one day, but yeah, for now, just know that. Let's move on to the subject I want to talk about that I don't like today about gaming. It's about the gamers. I'm not speaking for all gamers. I want to make that clear. I'm speaking about just gamers have to hate. Why you gotta hate? Like, this guy hates PlayStation. This guy hates Xbox. This guy hates Nintendo. Why? They're all great in their own way. They all have their own personality. And it's like saying you don't like another person just because you don't like who they are. It's not right. They're all legit quality gaming that people love and buy and enjoy. Haters gonna hate, I suppose. It's like today, I was just looking at the Wii U controller on Facebook, and everyone's hating on it. Like, there's some people make great points. Like, you never even held the thing. If you actually listen to the reviews, I'm not gonna get into that. This is not a biased show. I want to get perfectly clear. This is a video game analysis. Not I don't like all games, because that's not true. Games are games. They're games. You have fun with games. You play games, you know? I mean, I used to go over to my friend's house to play PlayStation. We used to go to all my other friends' house to play Sega, and go to my house to play Nintendo. That's how it should be. It's like, you would say, well, I wouldn't own this, but I had a lot of fun playing it. It's cool playing with my buddies, my friends. Don't hate. But personalities go a long way. Everyone has their own idea. Inspiration, stuff like that. I'm glad I did this one. Yeah. Next time, we're going to examine the characteristics of Sonic the Hedgehog. What made him big? Despite its obviousness that it's a great game, we're going to take a look at some little things that made Sonic more noticeable in the mascot wars than the other attempts, like Bubsy. Good. Bubsy. Good. See you then.